I gotta turn that on by default. I'm gonna screw that whole thing up if I don't do that. I really wish. Okay, cool beans. Let's see. I'm so excited. I get so much more energy doing like group stuff than if I was like one-on-one with people. It is so weird. I don't know. Like, it's like a weird way it's supposed to work. Mike, I haven't seen you and your beard for so long.
Yeah, it's been forever.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Just, you know,
Just doing
yeah, I'm doing good.
good. Well, I'm so excited. We're gonna cover a few. This is like totally just like a casual thing. I just got off of a meeting with Carrie and I just wanted to make sure to lay the groundwork. Like, this is not meant to be anything fancy. This is not a coaching call. Like, I just want I want growth-minded business owners to come together. I don't know about you all, and Carrie and I were also talking about this the other day. I live in a very rural area, and it's challenging to find people that truly have a growth mindset here because they get stuck in that little container. And so it gets really lonely. And I didn't really get that. And so, like, all of my interaction happens most of the time with people virtually, but it's not the same as doing it in person. And as far as creating Progress University, and we'll talk more about that later on, like, I really wanted to be able to create something where like we could get together. And the thing is that all of you all collectively bring so much value. Like, you have done really great things in your business. It doesn't change the fact, like, we all want to grow more and we want to do things better, but just being able to bring the value that each person has in the way that you've done things for yourself personally, how you've grown your business, like things that are working for you, things that aren't. Like, this is meant to be a community where we come in here and it's not based off of me. Like, I definitely have things I could talk about for 24 hours at a time, but it's not made for that. It's really just made like I I stole the name of it, Coffee Chat, from another client that we have that will get on here at some point. And they actually do this, I think, like once a month, in physical person. But I was like, I love coffee, I love talking, like it's just gonna be that. So we're gonna have these twice a month. It's gonna be very casual, come and go as you please kind of thing. And I have like some chat hygiene that I'll go over here in a second, but this was meant for everybody to just come in, take what you need, leave the rest. Same thing with your business and approaching it that way. And just coming to contribute and coming to learn from other people. And then if, there's things that we come across all the time that I'm like, I had this conversation with this one person. Everybody needs to hear this. And so this is going to be the opportunity also for us to disseminate that stuff. And there's a couple of like actual tactical stuff toward the end that I do want to cover, or when I get finished with like this iteration of stuff here, that I want to discuss. But I mean, you all know as business owners, like when you sign up to have a business, you immediately take on this level of responsibility that, like, we thought kids were hard, right? Like, this is just so different. Like, the things that are due, taxes, finances, like the back end of your business. And you're like, I thought I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And then it starts sometimes making you question, like, did you sign up for the wrong thing? And we don't want that. And so just I'll give some context to really like the vision that I have for Progress University. And you all got sign-in access for our Progress University portal. I'll cover some of what that's going to look like. How do you leverage that resource? And a few other little things on there. So to cover chat hygiene real quick. So just to make sure that this flows optimally and everybody gets their opportunity to contribute and ask questions. If you have a question on here, I want to make sure I see people. So raise your hand. Like, there's that little thing down in the bottom. I think it's like reactions on here. And I know if you're on your phone, it'll be different, but maybe Courtney knows better than I do. There's someplace on here to raise your hand. So raise your hand so that you'll light up and I'll see that to make sure I can get you taken care of. Or if you just want to ask something to somebody else, like that's totally cool too. Feel free to leverage that chat function here in Zoom. And ask one another things in there. Like y'all know that thing, like you can direct a question or something to somebody. Make sure to keep your mic muted unless you're talking, just out of respect for other people, and like your cats in the background and stuff, just if they're fighting, aren't coming up and making noise. And then we're going to stop this like right at the 1 hour mark, because we're business owners. Like I want to value your all's time just as much as I value mine. So I want to make sure if we have a question and it's like going over a little bit, I'm not going to like cut somebody off in the middle of it, but just being clear on this is here for an hour. Let's respect one another's time when it comes to that. And then I should have made these bullet points because I talked to text this and it was not very clear. This is not a room for like expertise, so don't come in here with any expectations. I don't care what you look like. This is not a suit and tie environment. Don't come in here with that. It's really like, my word for the year was to elevate. And a lot of that is elimination, is how you elevate. Like I think about a balloon, and the more you take the weight off of the bottom of it, the more it can elevate. So there's like no standards on anything here other than just respecting yourself and other people, and coming with questions and something to contribute. So with that, thank you all for signing up or showing up for the first one. I'm so excited. I know we got some people on audio, but we're going to record these, so we will drop these in Telegram. If you're not in Telegram yet, and you're not sure how to get access in there, then you can use our chat line. Courtney or Allie will get you all taken care of for getting signed up on that. We will drop the call recordings in there in case you're like working out and you just want to listen to it later, or driving or something like that. If you can't make the coffee chats, these will not be at the same time every other week. And it will not be at the same time every month. And I did that intentionally because we all have different schedules. There's things going on. There's some people that if we always did this at 10:30 every other Friday, they would never be able to get on here. And so I want to respect the availability of some other people and make this to just where it was fun and it changed up, and so that everybody got the opportunity at some point in time. And so we will release those call schedules in advance. And so I know that the call schedule, that information is in Progress University. There's a way that you can go in there and see the events that are coming up, the calls that are coming up, and we'll get those forecasted out in 3-month periods. I think only the next month and a half is in there, so we'll get that taken care of next week for you all. You should be able to go in there and see those. We will also drop those Zoom links in Telegram when they come up, just so that you all will have those as well in there. Telegram is, I very intentionally moved our chat over to there, drops in there, notifications in there about updates, just things that we want to share with you all as business owners, because we want to eliminate distractions as much as possible. Facebook to me is a distraction. I think we get on there with the intent to do something, and then very quickly that intent goes away. And so I very intentionally dropped that. And we will end up getting rid of that group altogether probably, because I want to have people just be able to, like I said, come in, see what we wanted to share. If you have something to ask, and like that's all that's there. You don't have the distraction of ads and somebody's drama going on with their baby mama in the background, so that y'all just don't have to worry about that. So when it comes to Progress University, and I know that Val is listening in on here, but some of you all have not seen Val. I think she's leaving at 11 for like her nephew's graduation from kindergarten or something. So she won't be able to jump on the video yet, but she'll be on here eventually. You all have met Courtney. A lot of you all may not have even seen Courtney. I just realized that, but Courtney is on here. Courtney is my right-hand gal. She is a rock star. I don't even know how I got blessed to have her on my team, but it worked out, and she's CEO material for sure. And so a lot of you all have communicated with Courtney, and so she'll probably be on most of these as well. So but Val and I, whenever you all see her, so Val worked it with me at the corporation that we worked at before I quit everything and started Progress Consulting, which you all know as Progress to Profits. And one of the things, so I think to add context here, like why, we're very passionate about education, and we try to intertwine that in a lot of what we do. And being able to do that on a small scale is very difficult. And that's why we created Progress University, because we wanted to be able to take all of this experience and all this stuff that we gleaned working for this corporation and give it to small business owners, because a lot of like, you don't know what you're missing until you went so far and you missed it. And then you realize like it has cost you so much time and money and things of that nature. And so Val and I had worked for this big corporation, and I think at the time that I left, they had about 70 million in capital, and they had over 300 million in assets that they were managing. And it was an insurance company, and insurance companies, if you ever want to put your money somewhere instead of a bank, an insurance company is where I would put it. But insurance companies have to manage their assets very well. And manage their clients very well and what they owe them. And so they're incredibly solvent companies. And I love the experience that I got from there, because this company owns so many small businesses. And Val is very familiar with this because we worked together. We worked with these small businesses. And we worked with these huge companies too. And the insurance company itself was huge. It was a publicly traded company, so we had to report to the SEC. And there's a lot that goes into that, right? And so you have to be very well attuned to being able to see the big picture, but then being able to go into the granular side of things. And the granular side of things to me was the smaller businesses. And one of the things that I really like, I started to see this trend here, and this was part of what really instilled my passion to educate people, help them with their money in business, is that there were a lot of small businesses that were owned by this big corporation, but nobody was really helping these people set them up for success. And so they would throw them into these roles to manage these small businesses, but they weren't educating them. And so when the performance of the company was riding on these people, they didn't really have the knowledge to know how to drive the company, because they didn't understand financials, they didn't understand money, they didn't understand management, they didn't understand leadership. And they were told to do these things, but they were not trained on how to be these kind of people that did these things. And so there was a lot of turnover. There was a lot of issues with small businesses. And ultimately, I didn't see that these people were doing anything inherently wrong. They were set up to fail from the get-go because they didn't know what they needed to know to be successful themselves and to successfully grow these businesses, restaurants, retail shops, spas, things of that nature. And then there were a lot of people that I also came into contact with. We worked at a bank and an insurance company, so we're talking about money all the time. And the amount of people that said they didn't understand money was really sad. And there were so many people that did not pursue what they truly wanted to pursue in life because they didn't understand money. And so ultimately, I quit, and we started Progress Consulting, because if that is the one thing that comes so simple to me that I'm like, I don't understand how people can't understand this, but if that's what people need to know that gets them to where they truly love what they do with their life, then like, that's what we're going to do. And so everything up until this point, we worked with many of our clients, many of you all on here for years now at this point, which is an extreme blessing. And I'm just grateful that we've been able to work with you all for so long, and that we'll continue to do so. And now we have this opportunity that we have a phenomenal team, and we want to be able to bring more of that stuff on a bigger scale to people, and for you to be able to pick and choose what's going to work for you as well. So within Progress University, we're going to be having workshops. We'll be announcing those for you all. I'll mention one of those that's coming up here very soon that I'm really excited about. We're going to be putting templates, frameworks, resources, all kinds of stuff in there. Now, you're not going to see a lot of stuff in there right now. That was also intentional. You're going to hear me use that word a lot. Very important. That was also intentional, not to like put all this stuff in there and then you all get in there and you're like, I don't even know where to start, or what do I do with this? We want to put that stuff in there and educate you on how to use that as we build and grow together. There's a lot of financial templates that we want to share with you all, that you don't have to be a CPA or a CFO or anything like that to be able to use this stuff, to use it and grow your business. One of the things that we're going to be sharing in there, if you all haven't seen this already, this was shared in the Facebook group, for instance, like the break-even calculator, very important tool. Did a training on that 2 weeks ago to help you see how can you use just a few key numbers in your business to help you track, am I going to be profitable, and how fast is it going to take me to get there? So that training will be uploaded in there, that template to be able to use in there. And the thing is that we want to empower you to use it yourself and to train your team on how to use these tools, so that you all are not dependent on any one person or any one role or any one resource. It makes you become interdependent, which is why education, I think, is so important, so that you can truly get the intended results out of it. So we'll be sharing a lot of that stuff in there. And then we'll have these environments, these coffee chats and things of that nature. And so all this stuff at the end of the day is meant to help you build the infrastructure of your business. Because when you have a sound platform to grow on, you can grow so much better. And when I say better, I mean more profitably, because a lot of people will grow for the sake of growth, but they don't know how to do it while making themselves more profitable. And they would have been better off staying at 500 grand a year in revenue than $1.5 million in revenue, because it's costing them their sanity and their bottom line. And we're here to help you avoid doing that. We want you to grow big businesses because we know you want to help people. You have charities that you want to create, foundations, you want to expand into other avenues. You have other dreams that you want to be able to pursue while you build this business. And so we're here to help you build that infrastructure, because that is a lot of, working for where we did, Val and I did before, and she hopped on video here so you all can see her now. Working where we did before, it wasn't just, understanding and managing your financials and taxes. All that stuff is incredibly important. And so are these other components. You all know how important processes are and operations and just things around that is concerned. Leading your team and building entrepreneurs, not just employees. I don't even like that term. And so all of these resources are based off of building the infrastructure of your business so that you can truly scale. And so providing a lot of that stuff in there. With that, one of the things that we're going to be launching are, like I mentioned, was workshops. So on May 22nd, we're going to be launching a workshop called Recipe for Results. And I'm very excited about this because I love building processes. I love building things. It's like Legos in my head to me. And so, like SOPs, frameworks, templates, like I love these things because it makes it so simple to train your team. It makes it really simple to keep your business simple, like all these things. And many of you all know this. I think I used to be a mechanic, and it wasn't that I loved like cars necessarily, which I do, but what I thought was really fascinating is that how things have to work together. And the thing about cars, or when something breaks on them, it's usually not the part or the component in and of itself that is the problem. There was something in the system that caused a stressor on that component was the weakest link and ultimately broke. But it's usually not that component in and of itself that is the problem. It was something before that part of the system or the process that caused the weak link to break in the first place. And so it's, building out businesses and having frameworks and systems and processes and being clear on your KPIs and your vision. All of these things are just part of the system that you're designing. And so as you grow your business and these things break or whatever the case may be, we want to help be able to see like, what is it that needs to be rebuilt or revitalized or fixed or reinforced. And so we love, when I say like building the infrastructure, like building that system, building your car, like building your engine, your exhaust, like all that stuff together and bringing it together where it is like peak performance to be able to grow your business. Because that stuff is that I think that all of you all here are really great at sales, but maybe we don't feel really solid about operations. There's always something that we know we want to work on. The effectiveness of your operations is going to be your key to profitability. The ability for you to lead your team is going to be the key to enhancing your profitability. So we are progress to profits. We want you to bring in a lot of revenues, but we want you to keep a lot of those too. So a lot of stuff that we're designing, what we're creating, what we're teaching in here is designed to help you keep more of your revenues so that you don't have to focus on chasing the next dollar all the time. And so when we launch Recipe for Results, this is really building out what makes your vision a results-driven process. Like what makes you different from everybody else. And you know, we have a lot of clients in the med spa space, and something that I commonly hear when, you know, we're working with clients where there might be another med spa down the street or something like that, and they're worried about competition. And what I hear when that is brought up is that you are not confident enough in the results that you get people, that you're too focused on somebody else and what they're doing. And so I want people to be able to create like their own recipe for results. And there's 5 stages that you take your clients through to get them a result. Now, you probably don't realize this if you have never really drawn out that process and trained your team on that, but you have these 5 stages that you're doing. That's why you're able to do what you're doing. But we want you to clarify what that looks like, one, so that you can truly grow your business and get consistent results for your clients without always having to be the person that's in the service delivery. Because a CEO can't be in the operations. Like, you need to be the vision that is growing the business, that is having the ideas, that is able to orchestrate the fulfillment of these ideas. But you can't do that if you're in the doing all the time. We want you to be the person. So this is really focused on designing that business and focusing on like one core result that you really get your clients, that is like your wow factor and the experience that you give them, and making that your own proprietary recipe, like your piece de resistance that nobody else can copy. And so, but we have made it so simple that all you got to do is just plug and play with the vision that you have and the results that you want to get your clients, so that you will have a more profitable business. And it makes it really simple to train and elevate your team as well. So we'll be launching that. We'll have some more info out about that. That will be a build as you consume workshop as well. So it's going to be about 5 to 6 weeks. And that is meant for you to take the information that you're going to get and immediately implement it. So we're not going to drop this whole workshop in there all at once. It is intentionally meant to be dropped in pieces so that you will take action, and then you will be able to build on that when you get to the next phase, and being really clear on that. So we'll let you know more about that next week as that comes up. And I think the 22nd is a Wednesday. And so that will be a week and a half from now, essentially. So with that, nobody's raised their hand, but I want to make sure, does anybody have any questions about anything so far? Okay, we're good. So on the tactical side of things, so I was having I'm going to shift over to actual business and talking about some financials here for a second. So I had a conversation with a client yesterday, and I thought this would be really good to share with everybody, because I don't care what your industry is, this is relevant to be able to assess how your business is financially performing. But, you know, we're talking about bringing on another segment in a business, and this is particular in reference to a med spa. So looking at bringing on a wellness component of the business. And I am all about growth and expansion when it makes sense. But the thing is that if it doesn't make sense, it won't make dollars, right? So going through that conversation yesterday, we were going through like, what does this look like financially to do this? Because if you're not real clear on your numbers, you don't know what makes sense. You're running based off of feelings, and numbers are objective. They don't lie. And this is where at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you can see how your numbers are aligning with your vision. And so we were talking about bringing on wellness in addition to what they're already offering. And the thing is that these current segments are not to the level of profitability that they should be to be able to make sense of bringing that other segment on. And so, you know, for instance, you want to know, like, where are you at in your business and what should your net operating profit be? So I would say that our target that we're seeking for people minimally is 20%. Now, it depends on what stage of growth that you're at in your business, and what your level of revenues are, because the more that your revenues are, generally, we want to seek a higher net operating profit. And what your net operating profit is your revenues less your direct cost to sell, less your direct cost of labor, and then your direct operating expenses. Now, you'll have some things, why I say net operating income is because you will have income in your business, and you will have expenses in your business that may not be a direct result of operations. They're ancillary. And so I'm not necessarily measuring those as part of the performance of your company. So you're going to hear me refer to your net operating profit. And we design for people that we're managing financials for, your income statement is set up to be able to see this very clearly, like where is my net operating income for this month? So we have set that up to where that's really simple for you to be able to see if you want to know what that is. But in particular, you know, I would not want to, if I have a med spa that's making $1 million a year in revenue and I'm evaluating, do I want to expand into bringing in this other business segment? Unless I can confidently say that the other business segment or segments are bringing in at least 50% gross profit, which is going to be my cost to deliver that service or that treatment, and the direct cost of labor that go into that. If they're not consistently hitting 50%, I don't even consider anything else until I optimize those, or I'm going to have to drop it. And so going through that analysis of being able to see that, you got to be able to have the systems in place to be able to measure that in the first place, though. The next thing before I would bring in another segment is that I want to see, okay, if I can determine what the gross profit off of those segments is, what is my overall like company net operating profit? And so this is where, like, if I use the hypothetical example of a company doing $1 million in revenue, I would want to see that I'm hitting 30% net operating profit already consistently. Because the thing is that if you try to go and add something else on and you don't have the systems in place to be able to handle what you're already doing, adding something else is going to make that worse. It's not going to make it better unless you have a very clear, compelling reason as to why you should do that. So what do we do to fix that? If it doesn't make sense to bring on another segment because we're not hitting the profitability that we want to be able to hit yet, what do you do in that scenario? So the things that come to mind for me is I go back to what is your recipe for results? Like, what is your client results journey? Is that very clearly articulated? Are you confident in the results that you're getting your clients? Is the business owner too much in the operations of the business, and so you don't even have clarity on what needs to be updated? The other thing is that I see probably more than anything else, that's one of the number one things to identify is prices. Like, your prices are too low based off of the experience that you want to give people. And so you can't even provide them that experience anyways, which means you can't get that level of profitability if you wanted to. And so to me, I always look at prices first, and then I look at processes. And if your processes are good and your prices are where they should be, then it probably is going to come back to a people problem. Does your team not understand the processes that make up this journey? Is there a lot of like scatterbrain going on in the background that's costing you time, which is ultimately costing you margin and taking away from your profitability? So just very point simply, like, if you're in that decision phase in your business where you've got these different business segments, that you are measuring, like, hey, how is this performing? I want to add something else on, but you're not really sure if it makes sense to do that. Go back to your numbers to objectively make that decision. See where your gross profit is, and then where your overall company profit is before you go to make decisions like that. Now, I'm not saying that's always going to be the test, but in more cases than not, it is, because it's not going to make it better just to add something else on just to make more money if you're not great at making profitability with what you got. So there was probably a lot of terms and stuff in there that I threw around that people are like, I don't know what that is. So please, Courtney, is there anything you think I need to clarify?
Just the same that came to mind is you don't want to go a mile wide, you want to go a mile deep, right? And that's going to be the best approach, because the phrase I think is go a mile wide and an inch deep, or an inch wide and a mile deep. So that's the approach we want to take with what we're doing. We want to make sure that the segments that we have are running at where they need to be before we're adding on more, because you can't, if you're running on empty, you can't add more stuff and add to it because you don't have anything to add to it. So
yeah. And I think what's really cool about going through and evaluating this with businesses is that I know that when we start our business and we have like all these things and we want to do it our way in a certain way, it's like hard to let go of control. But the really interesting thing is that I see is that the more you really become the CEO and you get out of your business, the more profitable that it is. So like you have a financial incentive to design your business properly. Go ahead, Adrian.
So yeah, I was gonna kind of chat about that. So because I'm in a similar situation, but for me, it wasn't so we added on a new sector, the wellness sector of our aesthetics practice. But our financial, like, we're financially doing great with the others. So we're like, okay, it's okay to add on this other part. So it wasn't really a financial issue. But what for me, I've learned with being a very new business owner, is the team, like having enough manpower to facilitate the new sector, I guess, if you will. And that for me, so for me, I've learned that I knew that I was going to have like a little bit of a negative drop in my profitability with bringing on a new entity, basically. And but I wasn't sure how long it would take to scale to be where I want to be. And it's actually taken longer than I thought to get to the profitability part. But a lot of that's because of all the learning involved. So like everyone on my team had so much to learn to put the processes in place to get it to be a point where, you know, we were marketing correctly to get the right people in the door. You know, we've been doing all sorts of tricks and things trying to figure out the right marketing. So we've tried radio ads, magazine ads, we've done some Google ads, we've done Facebook ads, we've done a little bit of everything to see kind of what works. But really for us, social media seems to always be what works the best. But our radio ads are actually bringing some more men in because we seem to attract women through social media, but not necessarily men. So we did a radio ad on ESPN, and that seemed to attract more men for hormones.
That's so cool.
So we have an ESPN radio ad. But yeah, for us, it was definitely processes has been probably one of the hardest things, especially when you're hiring someone who's kind of new to working with you as a provider and a medical provider in your practice, kind of learning your ropes and learning how to help implement the business strategy to like, or the business development for that new sector. It's been a whirlwind, but we're like just now kind of at a kind of a break even point, and it's taken us probably about 6 to 9 months. And that's actually a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But you know, we're finally getting closer to where we need to be.
Yeah. What do you think you would have done differently before you brought on wellness?
Oh gosh. I think what would we have done differently? It's hard. I think I might have paid my provider a little differently because I was paying her a kind of a high salary even when we weren't quite busy quite yet. So that definitely ended up being part of the issue, I guess, with the overhead of it and kind of the cost of doing that business when we didn't have, you know, it's because we're marketing a whole new segment of the practice. And so it's slow to grow that. And in my mind, I was like, oh, all my aesthetics patients are going to want this. They all need it. But it's not that simple because you have to build trust for the provider that they're seeing. There's so much around them, like trusting you as that professional for that service. And so I think I probably would have started more with the marketing before even introducing the whole or even starting seeing patients. I probably would have started there and maybe had more clarity around that first before just jumping in saying, okay, we're ready to see patients and then start marketing.
Yeah.
That's probably done differently.
Oh man, I always hear that, like, sell first and you'll figure the rest out later. Because clarity comes from action, right? It's like we can put all this stuff in place. I mean, and I can even say that I did that. Like, I was so excited to like do all these things, but if nobody knows who you are, it doesn't matter. And something that you said there made me think about this, and this is why, we want to be able to fund as much of our growth from our profits and our stacks of cash, essentially, that we have effectively managed, so that we don't have to take out debt to expand. And that's another reason why making sure that you know what your data is and you know your numbers. And there's nobody in here I want to have to know, like, I don't want to have to teach y'all a balance sheet and an income statement. I want to teach you like what things you should be looking for on there. But that stuff is painful to look at even for me sometimes. So I just knowing like what numbers do I need to know. And I just had this conversation with Carrie before this. Like, one of the things that I love to set up with people is your CEO dashboard, and it has like critical KPIs by department of your entire business. And this really becomes the steering wheel for your business. And I love when we get to implement this with people. However, I don't jump into and do that first thing. Like, when we onboard clients, we don't go in there and make that part of our initial onboarding until I know what your vision is and what your business segments are, until I understand like what are we really focused on building here. There are so many KPIs that you can measure, but I want to make sure that they're meaningful, because numbers don't mean anything if they don't have some kind of correlation to what you're building in the first place. And so that vision, I always come back to that. And then making sure that on the back end of that, can we finance the growth of this next level of our business from the profitability that we have from these other segments, and from how we've effectively managed our finances up until this point to have the cash on hand and to stack that up. Now, sometimes it can definitely be beneficial if you are so clear, you have a really solid plan in place, which is, that would be one of those things where you don't want to just jump into it. Even if we know that our profitability is at that level that we want it at, it doesn't necessarily mean you still want to jump into doing that without having a plan in place, having a marketing plan in place, understanding what roles are going to need to fulfill that operation of the business, understanding the critical processes of that before you just jump into it. And so if you focus on, like Courtney said, going really deep with your business and making it extremely profitable where it is, you don't have to worry about how you're going to get to the next level, because these segments are so profitable and they're taking care of themselves that it's going to fund your expansion without having to leverage a lot of debt or any at all. Ideally, you don't have to be able to get to that next level. So I'm glad that you shared that, because that made me think about that. And then we all know like how important our team is to being able to make that happen. And there's so many things that I could expand on there, but I would say the biggest part of that, I think, to me, when we look at who is growing really well and who's not, like, you can do pretty well not having some processes documented and in place and very well followed. I think the most important thing is having a team that aligns with the values of your vision and your company. Because if you have those people on your team and your team has that growth mindset and they understand that we're always going to be working on something, and they're going to pivot with you. Some people hate that word. I don't know why, but they're going to continue to pivot and evolve with you. That is so much easier to manage the operations of your company. Whereas you can have all of these processes in place, but if you have team members that just won't do what they're told, if they will not follow processes, if they're not even really clear on what they want for themselves, it makes it very hard to even be able to adhere to those things, because they're just not the right fit sometimes.
Does anybody on here, do you guys do any sort of like team building activities? Have you done like a team retreat before with you and your team members? I see some nods.
We haven't done a
Adrian.
retreat, but we do a book club. We read
fun.
books every week. Well, I mean,
Oh,
we meet every week to talk about a book that we're reading.
Mhm.
oh, cool. What are y'all reading right
Yeah.
now?
We're reading The Untethered Soul.
Such a good book.
Yeah, it's my
I
favorite
think.
book of all time, probably.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really
Oh.
good book. I just got done with oh my gosh, I can't think of it now. Adrian, you were gonna say something while I'm thinking. I'll have to look it up. Can't believe I forgot the name of it.
10x is greater than 2x. Is that the one? Or is
No,
it
the one
more of
before
now?
that. 10x is easier than 2x. I recommend everybody to read that because I already like dream big and I'm like, I want big things for everybody, but that like expanded my like I feel like I've changed so much
And Dan
from that book.
Sullivan is great. He's
Yeah.
a-
Yeah. I've already implemented so many changes just in the last couple of weeks of reading that book.
Mhm.
I love the book idea. That's actually a good idea because there's actually several books I've read recently that I'm like, gosh, so many people on my team should read this.
Mhm.
And yeah, but some of the fun things we've done for team building is we do like a month, like not always monthly, but like every other month or every so often we'll go do something fun. Like we actually went to a place, one of those like smash places in our local area where you can go in and like literally smash a bunch of stuff. It was just like the end of the year and we're like, okay, let's start fresh and have some fun. And so like all the late, like I think there was all 12 of us went and to one of those smash labs and you put on like these big white coats and goggles and like literally just break shit. It's fun.
That sounds amazing.
We've done team building, like, you know, where you learn your colors or learn your like during we have like monthly team meetings where we'll try to learn more about each other with stuff like that for team building as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see your all's events. I feel like you do something like all the time with your team, but that smash thing sounds like such a great way to I feel like that would be better than massage therapy for me.
I've seen people doing it. It looks like so much fun.
I've never said she mentioned that to me a while back and I was like, I've never seen that before. I gotta see if there's something like that here in Kentucky, but that would be a great team building exercise. Like don't take it out on your team, take it out on whatever
Rainy
this thing.
tax season. We need to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
April 15th. That just
Really
needs to be the new thing.
For
So
everyone,
Brittany, I actually was going to talk to you because my husband and I, that was actually the business that we wanted to start next. And we wanted to call it the break room.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I think that you
Yeah.
all should, but we need to plan for that first.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
that's
how
awesome.
I hope everybody in here wants to have like I say like building an empire and I truly mean that like I think that we should build all that stuff because there's so many more good people should build great businesses. Great people, I should say. We're better than good. But The Power of Now, Mike, that was the book that I thought of when you said that. If you've never read that, such a great book. Yeah, I love the book thing too. I think that's good for a lot of people and my team. I need to actually, I told them, I was like, they need to read that, but I'm going to make them read that because that book is so good. I think it just helps. Well, and I think that when you're like all on the same wavelength too, it really helps. And then back in, I think it was January, Carrie and I did a retreat with her team and that was really eye-opening. Because I think when you understand the motivations of your team on a personal level, like, I don't know. I mean, and she knows her team obviously way better than I do, but it was very eye-opening even for me. So that was really fun. And I want to do some more of those for sure.
I was this in I can't remember if this was in a book or some conference or something, but I've heard multiple people say that the order of people who should deserve your attention and care the most should be your employees, your customers or clients, and then your shareholders. Because, and it seems kind of flip-flopped, a lot of people would think, oh, well, shouldn't, at least in the corporate world, oh, shareholders are first, or, then customers, or customers first, shareholders, then employees. But if you think about it, when your team members, your employees, when you're giving them the love and the attention that they need to be their best selves, they're going to then turn around and be the best employees and the best team members. And by virtue of that, they're going to be treating your clients and your customers with the utmost respect, giving them the best that they deserve. And then in turn, you know, if you have shareholders or anybody who's invested in the business, you yourself, you know, you're going to reap the rewards of that. And so it really focusing on your team and giving them the resources they need to be successful, it's going to pay back to you in the long run. It's worth the investment.
Huge believer of that.
Mhm.
And I think that that's like a lot of where my frustration came, like the jobs that I had before, is that it was focused on the wrong order. And especially when I worked at the bank, like I loved the opportunity that I had there. And it was also so eye-opening. It's like the further I get away from it, the more that I see it. But like the good old boys club and how they focused more on the shareholders than the people that they put in positions to run things, and then they couldn't do it. And just I just didn't like when they didn't set people up for success. And I think that when people, I think one of my other things too, and I grew up with this, and I feel like I have such a different perspective off of why people should have more money, why they should make better financial decisions, why we want them to be as profitable as possible in their business, because there's an element of financial scarcity that until your business gets to that point, you can't operate out of authenticity. And I think growing up for me, just like people not empathizing with other people, not truly caring for other people. I mean, I wouldn't say we grew up poor, because when I think about poor, I think about like living out of a van or something. And we were always taken care of, but it's like we just lived by with what we needed. There was never going out to eat, there was never vacations, like there was never like buying new clothes all the time, like shoes had to last, you know, the entire year, which isn't a horrible thing. But my family, like a lot of my family, also dealt with a lot of addiction. There was a lot of abuse and things like that. And I was very grateful that as I grew up, I was like, I want to be like the anti, like I don't want to be like that. And I think one of the things I realized is that there's so many things that go into this, but I think a lot of the reason that people chose addiction, they abused one another, whether it was verbally or physically, was because they struggled with money. And when you're in that place and that energy of scarcity with money, and you feel like you just don't have, you don't know how to obtain, you like that manifests in so many ways. And a lot of times it's how you treat other people. And I see that with businesses where they are struggling financially in their businesses. And we don't have any clients like this, but I see this a lot. When they're financially struggling in their businesses, they take that out on their team. And it drives me nuts, because that is the exact opposite. I mean, you should never take anything out on anybody like that. But when you're struggling financially in your business, if you don't take that radical ownership, which is one of our core values, and that is very important through how we filter our clients as well. If you don't take that radical ownership and you're just blaming your team, it's going to come out how you treat them. And the interesting thing about it is that it correlates back to your data at the end of the day. It correlates back to your bank account and your profitability. And that's the thing about numbers, is that we don't look at financials like, oh, this is what you have left over at the end of the day and you're going to pay tax on this. Like, yeah, that stuff is important, and there is a time and a place for that. But we're reading the story of like, what are these numbers telling about a person? And it truly is like, we want to work with people that understand the value of putting their team first and building up their team, because those are the people that are going to grow your business. Your clients and customers, they help obviously, but they're nurtured through your team. And so getting your place out of, and even if your business isn't to the level financially that you want it to be, it doesn't mean that you're operating out of that scarcity. But the thing is that it's not always what you do see, it's that what you're missing out on that a lot of people are unaware of. And it's like, who is the person I could be if I was to this level, or who is the person that I will be when I'm at this level? And like learning to be that person now and getting out of like that money mindset, like mode that's sabotaging you in the long run. And then ultimately just focus on like, I know we're going to get here, and this is how I'm going to take care of my team. I'm going to train my team based on where I want to go, not where we are. And I'm not going to not letting like the challenges of the current day or the week or whatever the phase that you're in affect negatively how you're going to treat people. And so we probably all have scenarios of where we work somewhere where we've either experienced that or we've seen it or whatever. And there's so many reasons why I want people to be successful, but that's definitely one of them. Is just like, if people didn't have to worry about money, I think that they would treat themselves and a lot of everybody around them so much better. So I'm glad you brought that up, Courtney. Courtney always has like some gems to add in here.
I just read a lot of books. That's why. That's why my brain's always
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
spinning
I don't know how
with everything.
y'all, Courtney's husband is in the military right now, and he is stationed down in Texas, and she is taking care of 3 little girls. Like, what's your oldest? 6? These 3 little
Yeah, she's in
girls.
kindergarten. Mhm.
Yeah. She's taking care of these 3 little girls, and she's taking care of our clients and doing stuff on building progress in the back end, and exercises every day. She has some crazy goals, and this girl's like always reading. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. I think it's awesome. I don't have kids. I don't ever want to have kids. So I feel like that's an element of life. Like, I don't even know what I know that they're a blessing, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that I definitely don't have any experience with, that I can't even fathom. But
Yeah,
life
I
is a lot
can
some
see.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She has a bouncy house in her, a balloon bouncy house in her living room right now for tomorrow for a birthday party. That would be a good team building activity. Get one of those in your office and blow it up. Did you buy that thing or do you rent it?
Well, so nobody in my area rents anything like that. And so
Oh.
I told my husband, I said, look, here's what we're gonna do is we're gonna buy it and then we're gonna rent it out afterwards and just have it be a little side thing. So then I can get fun things like that for the girls' birthday parties and other people can enjoy it too.
That is so good. Yeah, Adrian Courtney is the one that lives in Hot Springs, so y'all aren't too far
Yes.
from one another.
Yes.
And Corey's kind of like up in the middle of Illinois, so and Mike is in Nevada. He's probably the furthest away from all of us right now, out in the desert heat. But I love that idea. That is such a good idea. That's the thing. I think that's probably my biggest struggle is having, which we do a lot of stuff virtually with our team, like team building and stuff like that. But there is just nothing like being in person, and I haven't figured that part out, like how to scale that. Because I intentionally never wanted a business where I have to be in a certain location to operate it, like ever. And I think that it's enabled me to design things much more effectively because of that. But you can do all kinds of team building things. I will say that we do a team building thing at the end of every month that my assistant Allie puts together, and they are always so fun. And she like puts these slides together. And I think the last one, well, actually my team made me a happy birthday video and it was really cool. And I cried a little bit, but the one before that, we did this quiz off of one another where Allie asked these questions and we got the responses, but we had to guess who the response came from. That was really fun. So if y'all want to do like a mystery game with your team, I forget exactly what that game is called. I've heard of it before. That is a really cool team building activity to see how well you know your team. So if anybody wants to do something like that, but at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that I just wanted to make sure I shared with you all is that I want to make sure that you all know that we're here as a resource for you all. So you all have access to us in Telegram. And that is meant to be fun. Business should be fun. It should not be stressing us out. It is not meant to make us have heart attacks or health issues or take us away from our family or anything like that. We want it to be fun. So we want to leverage Telegram in there. And so I usually drop in there about once a day and just check on things. And I'll probably send a message in there, or the team will be. Leverage that. We'll communicate in there. Progress University is, the vision of this is that I want to build the school of business, like a legit school of business. And in the big scheme of things, I want to build a school for kids. And so this is going to be that thing that gets us out there, because I want to create intentional entrepreneurs from childhood that truly get into the spirit of like who they are, and they build great things from that, and they learn what they actually need to. Because I'm not going to get in a rant about public school system, but there's a lot of things with that. But I think that one of the things that we have really deprived our kids of is having them be intentional about what they want out of life. And so there's so many things. I think that I feel like this is what happened to me is I got out of school and nobody, encouraged me to focus on like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, how do I want to help people with my life? And I went through, like many people did, not everybody, but many people, like you go through this party phase and you go through like the experiment phase, and then you go through like I didn't date a lot of people, thank God. I love being alone. But I went through like those phases like temporarily where I'm like, I don't know what I want. So this person just kind of fits the bill for now. Like so many of our kids go through that to their detriment because we don't teach them how to appreciate who they are and to refine what that looks like and get to know themselves and be intentional. So like my dream like 10 plus years from now is to build a school for these kids so that we help teach them what they need to know and build character from kindergarten, not when life has crashed and burned at 25 and then they're having to pick up the pieces on their own. If we can close that gap for them, like the world would be so much of a better place. And so with that, I want to make sure that you all leverage us. As we continue to build this out, we share more resources with you all. Like I said, this is take what you need and leave the rest. Everything that we share is not going to be for everybody in here. And we know that, but we want it to be for your resource. If you all have something that you're like, I think it would be really helpful if somebody can help me build this out, or if I had a template for this, like we just helped Carrie build a template for tracking client communications right before this. And like, we love to build stuff like that out. And so if we can shortcut that so that you're not stuck in that cycle of like wondering, because that wondering is costing you profitability at the end of the day. It's costing you precious time. Like ask us for that. We will help build that out, because if you need it, somebody else 100% needs it. We will build that out. We will drop that in there. We have a multitude of resources, like years worth of stuff that I have built that we're slowly going to be putting in there and training people on. So please ask us for that stuff. And then anything when it comes to your numbers, all that stuff, like there's so much, but we just want to give you what you need for the season that you're in. And when on the number side of things, looking at what do I leave here with, make sure you know what your net operating income of your business is. At this point in time of the month, most, if not all, of our clients' financials have been closed out for the end of April. We know what your net operating income is right now. And I think that just knowing what that is would bring a lot of peace of mind. And then what action can you take to do that? One of the things also that we're going to be doing that I'm excited about is when we go through to review financials every month, Courtney is going to be sharing, reviewing those, and she's going to be sharing a win with everybody and one thing to improve on. So you'll get that probably via text message, because I think a lot of people hate email. I hate email. And a lot of people, yeah, absolutely for email. And my team has helped me so much with managing that much more effectively. So the peace of mind from that. But we'll be sending that out because I think that'll be fun, and just helping you to know, like, you know, one thing that you can take actionable insight into your business based off of this. And then if you have other questions, like, please, like, you all have unlimited text and email access to us if it's something personal. But if it's something where it's like, I think other people would benefit from this question or this comment, drop it in Telegram and we can collaborate on it in there. But ultimately we want to build a community for other growth-minded people that truly want to grow and financially fulfill themselves and other people. So be part of that as you will. Does anybody have any questions or comments about anything before we hop off for the morning? We've got 2 minutes left. Adrian's hand is still raised, but I think that was just from a while ago. That's totally fine. I just wanted to make sure. Awesome. Well, I'm very excited. We will go ahead, Courtney.
Oh, I was taking it off so I could, as you finish, say thanks.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we'll hop off here today. The next one, I can't remember exactly when it is, but there will be, like I said, 2 of these every month where this is casual. So we'll let you all know when the other one's going to be, but that stuff will be in Progress University. Make sure you save your login to Progress University, like bookmark it on your browser. I believe you can also access it from your phone. But like I said, when we drop stuff in there, something new to update you all, we'll share that in there. And then we will make a Loom, because we love Loom, and go through the logistics of that website so that you all can navigate that as you get in there and get used to it. So otherwise, it is 11:30 on the nose. for Eastern Standard Time people. And I'm gonna let you all, I hope you all have good long weekends planned. We're gonna hop off here and we'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks
Bye,
for coming,
y'all.
everybody. Bye.